Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the work from home episode of Fed Up. Hey Roxy, hey Rima.
Hey,
Hey,
Docs.
So what? We've been working from home for a month now?
is that how long it's been? It's felt longer.
It's felt like a year, but it's been a month. It's been a
Yeah.
month.
Well, Rima, thank you for joining Roxy and I. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself for a lot of viewers? They've seen Roxy and I all this time, but tell everybody about what you do and how are you making this world a better place?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, so I'm a senior program manager in Microsoft Teams engineering. So I'm actually part of the product group that helps build Microsoft Teams for the US government. So I specialize in our government clouds, specifically GCC, GCC High, and DoD. And really, my role is to help customers understand the best and fastest way to deploy teams. I'm also their engineering touch point between the customers and engineering. So it's a fun job. It's a hard job, but I love it, and I feel like I'm really empowering our U.S. government to move forward with a new collaboration tool.
So talk about getting customers on Teams as quick as fast. So that's rings true in the last couple of weeks, right? So we've seen
Yeah.
everybody doing remote work and how Teams is an essential part of it. And also we're seeing a lot of news around how the US government is embracing Microsoft Teams. And when we say US government at all levels, right? Federal, civilian, defense, state and local. So how has this transition been like? So maybe let me start with you, Roxy. I know you work with a lot of civilian agencies. So what's the transition been like as a lot of these agencies have been pivoting to Teams?
The transition has been really fast paced and fast moving. What you're seeing right now is there are a lot of government customers who were not previously in Teams, who were not previously looking at Teams, who were not really previously looking at this remote work strategy, because that's not really familiar to our federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Most people come into the office, they work a 9 to 5, and if they want to collaborate, they walk over to each other's desks. But right now, because of the situation that we are in, you're seeing a lot of these government agencies kind of scrabble and figure out, like, what is my remote strategy? How do I do that in a secure manner? And then Teams, for all of them, I like to think, is that easy solution. So what we're seeing is government agencies try to figure out, how are we going to deploy this? How are we going to govern this? How are we going to stand this up as quickly as possible? What type of networking are we going to apply to this? What is this going to mean for our user base? And how are we going to get them comfortable in this time of
Mm.
unrest?
So Roxy, you mentioned the word security, right? Obviously, this is top of mind for everybody, more so
100.
with the government. Rima, is that question or is that consideration coming up a lot in light of a lot of the other technologies not being as secure?
Absolutely, yeah. Since Microsoft Teams is FedRAMP accredited as well as DISA accredited, depending on what cloud you're in, there's that security kind of blanket, so to speak, to know that everything that you're doing, so chatting, sharing files, even hosting like a video recording, or even sharing that video recording with other folks internally, that's all being kept in an environment that is meeting U.S. government standards, and so that's really important. It's almost like it's great that customers don't have to worry about that with our tool sets, and so that's one really big positive out of all this. We've seen a huge uptick across the entire federal government, like you mentioned, Ducks, moving to Teams because of the security aspects of it.
So the likelihood of random people video bombing us when we're doing this meeting
Right.
is out of the picture, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention
Excellent.
too is that customers can really control like who enters into their environment too. So it's not just like a meeting link that anybody can join. It's controlled, and a customer really has the way to essentially limit or allow whoever they deem as a partner. So
Got it. Okay. So we heard and we know that people are jumping on Teams as fast and as quick as they can. So for our viewers that wants to do that, especially if they're in government, regardless federal, state, and local, defense, civilian, what are some of the first few steps that they have to do, especially if they already have Microsoft 365, they already have Teams and GCC. What are some of the first things that they have to do to transition? So what, Rima, any initial first step advice that you offer?
really the focus here that I'd like to kind of mention too is that we created a fast path deck.
Mm.
And so it's this rapid enablement deck, a slide deck that myself and a few others have really kind of gotten together right as COVID-19 was hitting, to give folks the ability to understand, how do I deploy teams very quickly, and how do I get people up to speed very quickly. I'm more than happy to share that here, obviously,
Yeah.
too. But we realize that people just don't have time for training. People don't have time to even ask questions. They just need to go, 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 go. So we're trying to basically corral all of our resources to empower any government agency to be able to do that securely, in a way that they have control over that.
So Roxy, like, what are some of the first few steps then that you would offer, besides being able to refer to a presentation that Rima highlighted?
Yeah, so basically what we're doing first is we'll send the customer kind of Rima's deck and they'll go through that. After that, they'll engage initially with the Microsoft team, preferably on the customer success side. They'll engage with us. We'll kind of walk through and try to understand, hey, where are you? Where are you trying to go? What's your timeline? How quick are you looking at doing that? And what does that look for your organization to be at an ideal end state to get you to Teams only mode? Then secondly, we try to get them really quickly into our Skype to Teams transition workshop. That can be really customized. Sometimes we've done it as a networking workshop. Sometimes we've done it as an architecture workshop. We've done it as a governance workshop. So it really just depends on the need and where the customer is, because each agency is at a different phase of their deployment. After that, we kind of work in parallel to work with their communications and their training teams to make sure, like, hey, do you have a timeline for your communications? So if you're thinking about deploying teams, let's say in a 2-week period, let's get this communication, the first one, out today, so that these users understand the why, what's coming, what's that change happening, and then kind of go through a simultaneous timeline over like a 5-week period of that consistent communication so that users understand. Then secondly, when it comes to a training perspective, very customized in a format of, is this going to be a webinar for you? Is this going to be something for your C-suite audience? Is this something for your HR audience? What does that look like? Because the way that every end user consumes Team is going to look very, very different. So we've been working with a lot of organizations on kind of like just that partner that's going through the deployment with them. So from the workshop, working in parallel to communications and training. And then one thing that our team also offers, we have myself, who's more on the end user perspective side of it, a little bit of a technical whiz, I like to say. But then you have our technical CSMs that run alongside of me throughout the entire process. So they're working with these customers on identity, like making sure that's correct, making sure like networking is properly configured. Like, are you going to do VPN split tunneling, or what does that look like for your environment? And then making sure that the configurations are right. If you're going to do live events, what does that mean for you?
Right.
Who's going to be able to do live events? Who's not going to be able to do live events? So what we're really offering is that kind of partner that's running alongside of these customers to make sure that they're making the appropriate decisions and get them through the deployment as quickly as possible, and then pulling in our partners when necessary. I mean, we just did an engagement with one customer last week on governance, and we just wrapped up and got them a sound governance plan, and now they're moving forward with their deployment. So we're just really serving as that extended partner.
And it sounds like it's a multi-pronged approach, right? One thing Rima mentioned that's really important, like, we don't have the luxury of time. So at the base level, there's that quick start, if I can use that word, to get people going, not only set up the platform, the infrastructure, but basic use cases, right? Like you highlighted Skype to Teams. So what are some of the basic use cases? Calling. Okay, so this is how you used to do in Skype. Here you could chat, you could do video calls, you could do group chat, just better. So the basic communication capabilities that most people are familiar with. And then the next layer is more on the team collaboration aspect. This may be new to a lot of people, the concept of creating a team, a tab, channels, and co-authoring. While it may be new, I'm pretty sure, especially when I spoke with customers recently, is, wow, I didn't realize I could be in one place and do all these things, right? Because used to be, I would email stuff, I would have files in SharePoint, I would do here. Now it's all in one place. I think that's really is valuable and really powerful, especially everybody's geographically dispersed. So what are some of the challenges? Go ahead.
There's one thing I want to point out too, because a lot of our customers, what we're seeing is they're taking this phased approach too, because they need to deploy it as quickly as possible. And one thing we are seeing in federal government, a lot of customers, when it comes to Office 365, don't have that telephony aspect of it.
E5, yeah.
That tends to come in at a later time. So I just want people who are watching this to understand and feel comfortable that everybody's kind of like in that same place. And you have some customers that are a little bit farther than others on the telephony piece, but we know that can come at a later time. So usually we just focus on core collab initially to roll out.
I did want to add actually two really key things here. So as of last night, in GCC, we just deployed the Teams Advisor. And so if you're a team admin, I know, right? It's amazing, right?
Newsflash! We're gonna have newsflash.
Hot off the press. I was like doing this at 1 o'clock last night. I was like talking to the dev who deployed it. So yeah, so Teams Advisor is really great. I'm sure all of our commercial, customers already know about this. But what the Teams Advisor does is, if you're a team admin, and you can go into the admin center and you can go into the planning section of the Teams admin center, you'll have something new called Teams Advisor, and you can deploy multiple workloads. And what that does is that it creates a team with this very intricate, very detailed plan with every single step that you need to do to deploy chat, collab, meetings, audio conferencing, all of it. So it's a
Awesome.
really great how-to guide to go about doing that. In
Th-
conjunction with that, the other thing I wanted to mention too was learning pathways, which is a great
Yes.
like SharePoint like training sites. It's customizable. That is available for our GCC customers to deploy, and so that works. I've tested it. A ton of customers use it. So just something else I wanted to add too.
So, what are some of the wins you've heard recently, like in the last 4 weeks, especially working with government customers? Have you gotten stories that really, kind of made you feel, wow, because of this story, it just makes everything I do worth it?
I'll say this, we've got a lot of customers who are very critical in this COVID-19 crisis. And not only are they doing a lot of work for research in the medical arena, but they're also helping people understand, hey, this is the communication of the latest and greatest information regarding arming yourself and protecting yourself against, COVID-19. So we've got a lot of government healthcare customers who are in this arena today and are using Teams essentially to collaborate on
Mm.
potential like vaccines or potential research that's being done for medications and things like that. And that's really powerful. I even now saying this like gives me goosebumps. We also are working with some of our in-house protection groups, I should say, the folks that help build hospitals. Those folks are also starting to use Teams to do that work as well. So that's really powerful. I feel comfortable saying that Teams does actually help save lives, which is really cool to say.
That's awesome. I mean, I have a similar stories I've been hearing from a lot of state and local government agencies I work with. They're using this as a way to do emergency response across different, state and local agencies for COVID-19, and that's how they coordinate on testing. Who has testing kits and just providing supplies for even local communities. So it's really heartwarming to see the day in day out stuff we do really matters.
Yeah, and I even just to take that a step further, because I mean, I can talk about this because it's my city, but even like when you look at our city over in the city of Bowie, over in the state of Maryland, like we've been using it to engage with our constituents and make sure that they're informed during this time because we want to maintain transparency and make sure that they're involved in the process. So Teams has been a lifesaver for us for that reason. And then when you think about a lot of other customers, particularly in my space, whether they're, kind of helping out with the housing crisis that's going on and people not being able to, pay their rent, being able to collaborate with these different financial institutions to make sure that they're supporting them at this time has been super, super critical. Or when you think about the displaced workforce and all the things that are going on and all the grants that are coming out or all the resources that are coming out to try to support that community to make sure that all of the people that are being affected during this crisis get the proper help and resources that they need, Teams is enabling that stuff to go on in the back end. So like Rima said, like you said, it gives me goosebumps to talk about because Teams is really powering a lot of these monumental operations that are happening in the background and make sure that we stay safe.
And I think that's one of the main takeaways, if we can end this conversation, is look, we think oftentimes around Office 365, around Teams, is, oh, it's an internal productivity stuff. We send emails, we work on Word documents. I mean, it's true, that's the day-to-day stuff, but bigger picture, technologies like this can save lives, can make a difference, can expedite a lot of the research we're doing. And in the medical industry, they're using this for telehealth. Like I've spoken to a lot of our health and life sciences colleagues. Like doctor visits are on Teams, and this is life changing, really.
Right, absolutely.
Awesome. So with that, gang, thank you so much. And I think it's virtual happy hour time, right?
I know we got a little emotional on you at the end because that's how passionate we are. But yeah, now it's time for happy hour. I'm just
And we
Although-
can use
sip out of my
teams for that too. So
water
no, I
bottle.
got coconut water. How's that?
got
I know Rima's drinking coconut water too.
Yeah, I am actually too. It's just the
Clear
big
water.
version of the coconut
There
water.
we go. Well, thank you, Rima, for joining us on this episode of Fed Up. And for everybody watching, hopefully you found this beneficial. Make sure you hit subscribe as we are going to have more episodes, and send in any questions or ideas or any episode ideas you want around modern workplace in the federal government. So with that, thank you. Stay safe, everyone. And then wash your hands. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining,
Thank you.
Rita.